Uh, Thanks for joining us today, guys. Really appreciate it. I think that you'll see this new software vendor of ours, new partner, R3TX, um, super powerful to you guys. They're new, like I said, they're our newest software partner, and it is a collaborative effort between a son and a father. So I'll just kind of give you a little bit of background, a little bio about the two of them. So Regan Hurd, he's an accomplished web developer and business software designer and developer. Regan works from a home office in downtown Anchorage, Alaska. When not writing software, Regan enjoys exploring the Alaskan outback in his Jeep Wrangler and creating breathtaking images of Alaska with his photo drone. And then Byron Hurd, Regan's dad, has many years of experience writing and selling business applications for industrial distributors. He became a TrulinX user in 2021. He was actually the operations manager for a new TrulinX customer back then. And he's also since worked as a TrulinX consultant for several of our customers. He specializes in implementation assistance. With a home office along the west coast of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, when not working as a TrulinX consultant, Byron enjoys spending time with his adult children and their grandchildren. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Byron so that you can see the power of their solutions.
All right, Jeff, thank you. Thanks, Lorna, for helping to get this started. Thank you to Tom for getting us on the path to being software partners with the Tribute Company. So I actually met Bill Horrigan back in the 90s when I was just a software guy. I had about 100 customers in Michigan. And, Bill came in to show one of my customers Tribute back in the day. And I thought it was amazing. I actually took as many ideas out of it as I could for my own system. And the rest is history. So anyway, I have really appreciated working with Tribute. Great company, great people, and look forward to being at TribNet again this year in Pittsburgh. All right, so R3TX is a system that actually got it started, much earlier than my exposure to TrulinX. Um, Regan and I had done that for the system that I maintained and set it up to send invoices and purchase orders and all of the good stuff that TrulinX does. We'd had our own tool to do that. And so when I got into TrulinX, I said, where's my tool? How am I going to send invoices, et cetera, which obviously TrulinX can do. But all of the other stuff, like a daily order report and stuff like that. So got Regan involved with it. We figured out some way. Rachel Crawford was our implementation specialist, and she kind of gave me a few bullet points to keep us out of trouble. But R3TX is about automating the report process, kind of two different functions. First of all, application reports, the reports that are designed into TrulinX, age trial balance, open accounts payable. Um, all of those reports are obviously out there to be run, and we allow you to schedule those reports to run automatically, and then they'll get emailed out through R3TX. And then also custom SQL queries. So we're not necessarily in the business of writing SQL queries for customers, but we can certainly assist with that in a minor level. TrulinX support's available to write queries, and TrulinX themselves in the self-service center has about 75 SQL queries in Excel format that could be adapted to R3TX. So we do have a website. We'll get to that in a minute. So what are the benefits, just the top level benefits for R3TX? Printing costs. Um, I hear that from people, that they really feel like they're burning through more paper than they probably need to. And so you can start to reduce how much paper goes through your print systems. Critical business data, make that visible on a timely basis to the people that need to see it. Application reports as email attachments. Nobody has to go out and actually, push the button to make that report happen. So they get right into the inbox on a scheduled basis. Better customer service, daily, weekly reviews of overdue orders, things that might be an issue for your customers, inventory issues, negative items, and so forth. And so those things get delivered right out without somebody having to remember to go check on those issues. More efficiency for your employees, less time and effort to distribute the reports that you need out of TrulinX. And they go reliably, even when maybe a key employee who handles that task for you is not on duty, on PTO, or even during the night. Um, Reports can go out on a schedule that you set up and maintain. And then obviously the custom SQL queries, hidden data. We'll look at some of the examples of that to help keep TrulinX running smoothly. All right, so we do have a website, R3TX.net, and we encourage you to hop over onto that site after the seminar. A lot of the information that we're going to review today is there, and you can explore that. We also have a contact page where you can arrange to reach out to us with a request for quote or more information. Okay, so we're going to walk through a real simple sequence to create a application report that will run through R3TX. And we're going to do that by, I'm connected to a customer system here. And so we're going to come into accounts receivable, go
Hey,
to
Byron, I
reports.
think your screen isn't being shared.
I'm
You can
not sharing. Thank you. Yeah. Let's get that done. So, and I wasn't sharing any of that. I was just talking. My bad. All right. So thanks, Regan. Okay, so we're into a customer server, running, we're in the trainer environment, and we're going to come down to reports, and we are talking through, we'll get to the AR aging detail report. So we're going to bring up that report screen. And, you are obviously all of you are experienced TrueLink users, and you understand that within this screen, I can create multiple variations of the same report with different parameters. And that's true of a lot of the TrueLinks reports. They, they have parameters that you can put in, particular sales rep, particular vendor, particular customer, and you can create, basically as many versions of the same report as you need. In this case right here, for example, we could have our date ranges be 15, 30, and 45 to catch people that, are past the 45-day mark in our receivable list. But otherwise, if we're good, the key to TrueLinks R3TX is the report ID. The system is going to use the report ID in R3TX to know what to do when this report runs. So we'll come back here and we're going to log into R3TX. R3TX runs as a service in Windows, kind of in the background. Nobody needs to interact it except, on an admin level. Obviously, it's login protected, but I've saved my password, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And here is our report list. So the system is broken into reports, SQL reports, the list of emails that are available to send to. That just saves having to type out emails when you're setting up a report. But I'm going to look at this report right here, accounts receivable aging, and I've got my report ID. So that report ID matches up with my report ID in TrueLinks, EOM-AR. When that report runs, it'll have this report ID on the cover page, and the system breaks that down, finds that, and says, oh, this is the end of month AR report, and it knows to send it to as many emails as you have in the list of emails. Okay. If I needed to add another email, I would just hit the drop down. Every email that's configured in your system would show up in this list, and you can choose which employee needs to see that report. Okay. So exception reporting, an example of that would be negative inventory. The negative inventory report in TrueLinks is an application report. You can go to the inventory section and see under reports negative inventory. if you click this button, that means that if there's no negative inventory, the report is not going to send. So that's an example of an exception report that is very handy to set up in TrulinX so that why bother people if there's not an issue. So, and then the save button and the record is saved. And then in our reports, you can add as many reports as you need to get these application reports to run. So what's that look like when that application report arrives in my email box? So I've staged um, a sample report. Get rid of this one so we don't spoil that effect. So here's an example of a negative inventory report. I'm going to go ahead and open it. It arrives as a PDF attachment. And so I can open that PDF attachment in this freeware, and there is my lone solitary negative inventory item. Okay. Obviously, it's not a business crisis to have an item that's in a negative quantity on hand, but it does cause a little, some stoppages in how TrulinX operates. So it's better to get those addressed quickly and do whatever needs to be done to get that back into at least a zero state rather than a negative state. Okay, so obviously any application, a lot of these application reports are many, many pages. They all produce as PDFs and come right back into our email box. Email could be Outlook, Gmail, um, whatever else. Could be Proton, this cool little free mail thing. So, okay. So any questions at this point about how this is working? We're going to get into some of the nuts and bolts behind R3TX towards the end of the prezo. But if you have questions at this point, I think we're going to use the chat window for putting those questions out there. And I'm happy to have a phone call or an email exchange, after the seminar as well, and answer questions at this point. All right, so let's close this up. Get out of this, like that, like that, like that. Okay, so now we're going to go back into R3TX, and we're going to look at how SQL reports work. So SQL is, one of the beauties of TrulinX is that it allows you to do these custom SQL queries. And, I have a customer with R3TX that probably has a couple hundred SQL reports that run. A lot of them are exception reports. So what do I mean by an exception report? Well, I mentioned inventory, but the data detection job. When we showed the system to management, Tom and Ben and so forth at Tribute, they said, we have customers with hundreds of data errors that they just ignore, which, it's no way to run a railroad. So anyway, but, like what I encourage the customers I work with to do is set this up so the data detection job runs every day, if it's not already set up. And then let's find any errors that have come up in the last 24 hours. And so that is the report that would come out is any data, for example, inventory item with misconfigured unit of measure. That I see that a lot, especially in hose companies. So misconfigured unit of measure, the system doesn't necessarily stop you from doing that. It might have been a reason, but don't want that to go on. So those are just examples. Failed emails, invoice emails that fail. Go out and find those purchase orders that fail. Companies that do a lot of drop shipments, I see this pretty frequently. The inside salesperson runs a drop ship PO and then forgets to print it. And so we run this report in the afternoon, catches that, and reminds them, hey, you forgot to print your PO. So let's take a look at what they look like. We'll look at this new customer list. So this is different from the application in that obviously we're going to drive the content in the report from our SQL language. So we have fields that kind of help us manage the process in a subject line. And in that subject line, we're going to include the date that helps people, as they're reviewing their emails, when did that particular email come in? So the date shows up right in the subject line of the email. This right here is our email body. It's text only, but then this will appear um, in the email that shows up when we run the email. File name. So the SQL output is going to show up as an Excel file. And so if people want to save that, they can. I find it helpful to have the date as a part of that file name because you might be getting the same file name multiple times, and then you can keep track of, when did that file arrive. Again, the exception reporting process, if, for example, if this is like a new customer list, if there are no new customers in the last 7 days, the report doesn't arrive. But it's pretty handy, in my opinion, to review new customers, make sure that the sales rep who's going to cover that customer knows about it. That can happen, where a customer calls in without talking to a sales rep first. Okay, my frequency. So my options for frequency are daily, 7 days a week, daily Monday through Friday, weekly, which is once a week, and we'll talk about that here in a sec, monthly, once a month, and monthly at the end of the month, last day of the month. So with weekly, I get to choose when that report will start. And if I wanted to run on a Monday and I happen to know the next Monday is March 14th, this report's going to run by itself the first time on the 14th. What time of day should it run? That's a issue for housekeeping on the server, not trying to, I guarantee you that not everything should run at exactly midnight every day. So it's helpful to stagger that out. And once again, by having a kind of a housekeeping list of what you've got scheduled and when, you can spread that workload off through the night. This is a little piece of SQL code. And again, there's a lot of SQL queries floating around in the service center. We provide a few very basic SQL queries with the system. Um, TrulinX support is available to help you come up with the queries that you need for your company. If there's specialized data that maybe you think my inside sales people need to see that, or my purchasing people need to see that, or management wants to see that, you can come up with the SQL query that will run automatically then through R3TX. So I only got one email in here. Obviously, I could add more emails, but if I'm good with that, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. When I click Save, the system will do a very cursory check of the syntax in my SQL window. If it passes muster, then I'm good. I'll get the save successfully. And so once I've got that, I'm ready to go ahead and hit Save and Run. And it saved it, and it actually executed the code. Files like this, all the files that are outbound through RTX go into a watched folder on your server. And every 60 seconds, the Windows server process checks that file looking for any new files that have appeared. So if we jump back into our email for just a sec, there it is. Okay, so this customer list, just showed up because I asked it to. Otherwise, it would have waited until next Monday, but I wanted to see it. And a good idea to send it just to yourself when you're making a new report like that to make sure it does exactly what you want. So let's take a look. I've got I just made that little change to my email body, and here's my file, Excel file. Proton can't open it, but I can get Windows to open it. It's an Excel file. And there we are. So I'm going to go ahead and enable editing. It's ready to go, pre-filtered. I can come to a column and get it to sort automatically. So very simple process, but obviously there'd be a lot more information. This was a real business sales report. You'd have more information about the customer contacts. A lot of information could be in there to help your sales team or to help inside sales. So that file ready to go shows up, and I didn't have to do anything to make that. R3TX did the work for me to bring uh, this report right into my Windows session. Okay, so um, Still doing good. I don't see any questions. I must be hopefully explaining this as well as possible. So this is a live look at our website. What I wanted to bring out here, and I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint to get a better view of this. So these are examples of exception reports. So I bring this up because as I've been talking to people, they may say, well, you know, I really only run 2 or 3 reports, which that's fine. That's great. I'm glad you can run TrulinX with only running 2 or 3 reports. But these are all examples of things that can go wrong. I mentioned data detection, inventory that's not configured correctly, failed emails, invoices that didn't deliver to a customer, purchase orders that didn't deliver to a vendor, sales order acknowledgement. Any of these failures, obviously you can find this information, but the beauty of R3TX is don't make them go chase it, deliver it to them when it happens. GL errors, unposted GL entries. I had a customer where, for whatever reason, one of the users would unclick the build flag on a bill of material line. And so the order wouldn't process correctly. And so we came up with a couple little queries that would go look for that and remind that user, don't click the build flag, leave that turned on. So these are all examples. These are on our website, r3tx.net. And so you're totally welcome to go look at that. You may have some other issues that relate to your particular business. So these are application reports, business activity, very common report. And R3TX allows you to deliver that right into everybody's email box that needs to see it. Not everybody, but your key management team, ownership, and so forth. That gets delivered automatically. Sales reports, all the invoices that actually went correctly. I have one customer that likes to do that. I just want to see the list of invoices that emailed. And go with that. End of month reports, inventory value, value on hand by vendor. All of these things are just examples of application existing reports in TrulinX that then you can create an automated record to send that out when you want it to go to who you want it to go to.
Hey,
So
Byron, it looks like someone has a question.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't see the question.
Oh, I see a hand raised.
Okay. Yeah, it's not. Let me get out of this. See if I can get back into that. Okay. Do we want to unmute this person? And
Yeah, one sec.
Yeah, Diane, can you unmute?
Okay, here is the question.
go ahead.
When TrulinX creates a new report with an upgrade, who creates the name of the file that belongs in R3TX? Can I do it myself or do I have to call you?
You can do it yourself. You don't. Once we get the system set up, it's really under your control. We're available to support, but it's totally open to you.
I got you, because you said that you said that you've got a lot of the TrulinX reports are already set up. So
well, those are examples of application reports that are available in TrulinX. We wouldn't install those for you because there's going to be variables that you need to, set up for how that report runs. So
okay, so it's going to be pretty labor intensive up front then.
It will be to start. Yeah. I mean, if you, it really comes down to how many reports do I actually want to send through R3TX. You're not going to send every possible report out of TrulinX.
No.
You're going to pick the ones you're using now and add those. You probably already have them set up. And so you just in R3TX will create the report record name that matches the report you already have.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out the coordination between the name that is in R3TX and the name that you set up for the for the direct run in TrulinX.
Sure. Yeah. Good. Excellent. Good question. Okay.
Thank you.
It looks like Peter asked a question in the chat. Is there a log file on the server or somewhere that displays successful and failures on these jobs?
So Regan will correct me if I remember this incorrectly, because it's been a while since I've seen one of these happen, but I believe there's a function in R3TX where if something cannot process correctly, it emails the administrator. Um, what's our status on that, Regan? How is that handled?
Currently, it does not send an alert about any errors, but we do log them in the event viewer of Windows. Typically, that won't happen. It's built to um, uh, run that way, and if there is a problem, you'd probably recognize it once you set it up. So,
Yeah, I was thinking about some other automated functions that Regan's done. So thank you, Regan. Yeah. No, I mean, realistically, you'll get so used to R3TX that if it doesn't run, for example, your server might reboot. I've seen, Regan and I have dealt with a server that didn't restart R3TX when the server rebooted. Very minor issue for an administrator to go into the services on his server and kick R3TX back into action. That doesn't happen very often, but I have seen it happen. That would be one of the few little exceptions that we've run into with the system in place.
but yeah, so I get what you're saying. I think that's a great opportunity for a future development for us to have or implement into this is to have some kind of notification alert, like what you said. Uh, um, if
I mean,
if an email address is incorrect or invalid, alert us somehow that that's happening. So, and there's another question that's kind of technical that I answer that came up in the chat. Any special ports required? So the way this works, since it's running on your local host, you can access it from the TrulinX server that you are remoting into, and that's how you'll typically access this through the default option. There is an option to, if you wanted to access this over a network, we could open that up and then you could access it on a local internet kind of deal. But by default, we just set it up to run on the local host, and you'll log into your TrueLink server to access it.
good questions. Anything else that we need to kind of review for you? So I did do we have a flyer, and I'm actually going to send this out to everybody who's on the meeting list for today. It's just a handy way, manager wants to, give me the down and dirty quick. This is maybe a little more than quick, but it does walk through each one of the functions of R3TX and kind of gives you, an overview. So managers, who don't necessarily want to get into the nitty gritty of it, can see, what's involved. So let's see, what else do I got? So when we do a fresh install, we basically ask for a secure remote access connection to your server, your TrueLink server. We have a number of ways that could be done, and we work with your IT people in a way that is really going to be um, best best method for you, best practice, whatever you're currently using for remote connection. We can usually work within that. Um, so we do some training. We get a few training sessions set up for your admin people to set this up. It seems it really is self-maintained. Once we get it installed and operational, you might hit a snag in something and you need some help. You can give me a phone call or an email and we'll help you through it. But it really is very self-contained, runs reliably, very reliably, 24/7, 365. All right. So um, I'll follow up, with an email that's got my email address in it. You're certainly welcome to reach out and chat. We'd like to, help people get started with this program as we go along. So there's me. Um, so any other questions or anything else that's come up in
Kirk asked, how does it know an email failed? Currently, if the system sends an email, it's kind of like a normal email process. It will get delivered, but if there's a bounce back, currently you're not alerted on that. So that's why it's important to test these once you set it up to know you have the correct emails configured. But definitely a future idea could be, we could track those bounces and then alert you on that too. So, but for now, we just, when you set it up, you have to um, make sure you test that. So the email it gets routed through a service on AWS. I don't know if you've heard of Amazon Web Services, but they pretty much host half the internet these days. There's a service on there that will send the email for us through the R3TX.net domain, and that's where it'll come from.
And so the failures of an email is, these are really going to people inside your organization. And you already have defined all of those email addresses that you want to send to. If somebody decides to change their email address, obviously, that could be an issue. But it's rare that somebody inside your organization is going to, change their existing email address. That would be pretty unusual in my experience. So, but another good question. So,
another question came in from Peter. Any kind of RAM or memory requirements based on number of reports? This is, for the most part, pretty lightweight. At least the R3TX system is. How it runs on the server. You might run into issues if you were to create like a SQL report that encompassed a lot of data that I was trying to collect and send. But typically, I don't think you'd be sending a million records over email. Yeah, so it'd be for the most part pretty lightweight. And I know my dad Byron had mentioned that you don't want to run them all at the same time, but I really think that's probably not an issue. I haven't seen that happen, and I don't think it would cause too many issues. So, but yeah, like I said, it's pretty lightweight.
so part of the background of this is helping you know that Jeff interviewed the people that are running R3TX today and was very satisfied with their answers. And then Tom and Ben had us provide a demo copy to TrulinX support, and development actually installed it on one of their servers, and they banged on it pretty well. And so it's passed muster from the standpoint of, it's got references. It's a solid program. It's been out there almost 5 years now, and it's doing a great job. So happy to walk through that. If people have concerns about security or the architecture of it, happy to walk through that, after the webinar.
Kirk asked, are POs and invoices sent from AWS? I think that's a function of TrulinX. So
yes, it is.
yeah, they would have that.
Yeah, it's really just we're trying to catch things that fail. And obviously that information is available in TrulinX, but the beauty of R3TX is to go find that for you and remind you, hey, this customer is not receiving his invoices or his order acknowledgments, whatever the case might be. So we do not send purchase orders. R3TX doesn't send invoices, doesn't send purchase orders. That's not part of our bailiwick design. But good questions. I think if I So the real answer on POs and invoices, they're sent, whatever email service you use. That's typically today in America, Office 365, but it could be Gmail. There's people still using Google Suites to send their business documents. So, well,
Thanks, Byron.
I think we're good. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, Lorna.
Thanks, Regan.
Yeah.
No problem. Happy to be here.